Few seconds. On? Yep, looks like it. Okay. Okay, we're live. Let's start. So welcome everyone. Today I wanted to bring up O13.2 preparation and make sure we're synced. Then Yorick wanted to bring up the Full Nodes Day in Brussels and what we're going to talk about. And hopefully we'll have time to discuss a bit about other topics that you want to bring up. And I know Alex wants to talk about the WebSockets API, for which there's now a PR draft to the specs repo. So I'll start. Okay, O13.2. So the plan was to upgrade the integration environment on July 8th, which is Monday. This may be slightly delayed. For now, we're still aiming for the 8th, but I will let you know if it doesn't happen. And we want to upgrade testnet on the 5th of August. So important things that need to happen for 13.2. We already discussed them, but I'll give a short overview. We need to upgrade the compiler, blockifier upgrade, and adjust to the new block hash computation, which I assume will be the biggest chunk of work involved. So clearly, in the existing version, all syncing will stop because block hashes won't match. O13.2 integration, and the feeder will return all the new fields, the receipts commitment, all the new definitions. So yeah, so far I know of one open issue in the blockifier, which is a deserialization of a Cairo 0 class that we're looking into. Others, as far as I know, were solved or we found a workaround. So up to you guys. Do you think, assuming integration is released or upgraded on the 8th, that will be ready by the end of the month with a node version so that RPC providers can upgrade in time? Do you foresee issues? If you do, please bring them up. That silence I like. And also, if there are any questions, issues, I don't know, scared of some block hash inconsistency, then please do bring it up. All the game with hard coding old block hashes, that's going to happen post the version. So I don't really want to focus on that.
So speaking from Nethermind's perspective, Kirill, are we still on top of the upgrade plan, and has any potential slippages? Does it have any impact on our delivery timelines? What do you think?
Yeah, if like all the issues like related to blockifier will be fixed, then we're on time. Also, I would like to bring one thing that in 0.13.2 doc there are description of new fields that feeder gateway will return, and there is a reference to Python code. But in this Python code, there is just a dictionary. Like you mentioned 3 built-ins. I used like the same naming as Google Doc, but I just wanted to double check that the naming is correct.
Yes, the name is correct. Maybe Rencheck 96. I don't remember if I put an underscore or not before the 96. Apparently, it's a very important issue. And if the name will not match, then the prover will just reject incoming jobs. So I will double check that the names is right, but I think they are. And the post is consistent with the current code.
Okay, thank you.
And with the names that will be used, because you're right, it's a dictionary and the code doesn't specify it. Okay. Okay, cool. So if nothing else, then over to Yorick.
Thank you very much. I'm going to share a quick screen if that's still able, if it still works in the current security settings. Let me see. Can everyone see this?
Yep, all good.
Wonderful. Right. So next week, I think everyone is aware and everyone has their invites, and hopefully no one's been missed out. We are having the Core Devs meeting, the first of its kind. It's called Core Devs because the vision is pretty grand that we will start organizing more events like this across all of the stack in Starknet. So the full nodes meeting is what's currently happening, but we're hoping that like in a few months' time, we'll do similar things with the consensus teams and maybe even with the provers, but that's still open discussion. What we aim to achieve at this meeting is two things. One is there will be broad discussions about the future roadmaps of all the full nodes, how all the pieces start coming together, because we are now moving into the phase of having a peer-to-peer network, and we'll need to focus more on interoperability and making sure that features are working cross teams rather than just having this hierarchical structure with the feeder and the nodes, right? So this is one. There'll be discussions. I'll get into the discussions later. The second major task of the interop is to set up a testnet of the P2P serving and consuming nodes together to very quickly iterate on any bugs that are there and have a general hacking session. The way that this is going to work, I believe, Pathfinder is serving P2P. Juno is syncing and serving P2P, and Papyrus will, according to Shahak, be ready to try and do some integration on the day as well. So the real main goal, like the main achievement of the 2 days, will be having a testnet with, say, around 100 nodes and all 3 nodes represented and working together by close of day. The other aspects that are being worked on, because Kassar Lab will be there in force, they're very interested in testing and unifying RPC test spec repos with Starknet.io. Nethermind is also very interested in this, so they'll be working together to make the first cut of the sort of unified testing frameworks that we're hoping to maintain for Starknet in the future. There will be plenty of discussions to kick this off and contextualize it during the day. Now, I'm going to quickly run through the agenda, and then I'm hoping to have a bit of like a open comment session at the end. If there's anything missing, if something seems superfluous, if you think there's time wasted here or there, just let me know, and we can adjust the schedule. There's still a few edits to be made to this doc, which I will outline as well. In the sort of general discussion day, the first day mostly covers this. We are going to go through a high-level description of consensus, both from the research side, what are the open questions, what are like the current edge cases to what's currently being designed. This is to get all the full node teams on the same page and to understand which direction consensus and sequencing is going. Then we're following this up with a discussion of Gossip Pub, which Shahak will be presenting. Is core to quite a number of different features that will be coming from, well, actually all of Shahak's later discussions will depend on this piece of information. So it's more of like a introduction session, understand the stack. Shahak, do you want to say something? Or?
No, I just wanted to confirm.
Okay, cool. Then Shahak will be going on to like a more technical discussion of consensus. I actually don't fully know what's in the session, but I think Shahak, if you want to discuss.
Yeah, the main goal is to agree on some initial milestone for consensus and see what we want in this milestone and what we can mock or find a way to bypass.
Yeah. So like, what's the shortest path to getting like some working consensus tests out there, and how do the teams on board? I think an interesting part of this conversation is like whether or not all of the full node teams want to become sequencers and have consensus as part of their stack or not, or if they're going to specialize to being more like light clients or just the full nodes in some sense. So some agreement and understanding during this meeting would be very helpful. Tony?
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, sorry, were you trying to speak or no? That's okay. Right, then Kassar Labs will be presenting some of their visions for what they want to do for P2P testing and for standardizing all of the node metrics, and we will have a discussion with all the teams about like what should be in and what should not be in standardization. Should we have like standardized Prometheus tests so that people can very easily move their infrastructure between nodes? Or should this be specialized for different nodes, and which pieces of information make the most sense there? They also have a later session on a similar topic, which I need to move. So this is not going to be here. It's going to be somewhere else, probably earlier in the day, where they are making a presentation on all of the divergences they've seen in node behavior with their Ditto testing framework. And hopefully we can resolve some of the issues on site in real time. And maybe we can use that as the basis for the testing framework in the future. Though they said they might want to rewrite it, so that might start that day specifically. Right. We will be doing a small presentation on how we've implemented SnapSync. The idea here is to align with all the nodes on whether or not they can do similar implementations and how long it'll take, and try to figure out a roadmap for when SnapSync is just a ubiquitously available feature across the network. And then Shahak will probably finish the first day with the block push and sync status reporting, focusing on moving from P2P sync to gossip and distributing nodes. Shahak?
Yeah, mostly from polling for whether there's a new block to, or using the feeder gateway to getting it, pushing the fact that there is a new block to other nodes.
Yeah, I think this will be more a discussion across the teams of like what works, what kind of behavior do we want to see, what kind of performance characteristics are important, some parts of like which measurements do we want to measure after we get there. So I would like to have that during that session as well. To be clear, all of these sessions are small amounts of presentation and then mostly open discussion between the teams. It's just not very much a like, this is how things are going to go. We want to have quite a heated debate about how different things work and what paths we want to build. Right, the next day we have some discussion on, like we start with some discussions about P2P testing. What are the milestones for getting it into production with P2P? How do we know that we're close? And then from there, we kick off on an actual hacking session where we have the 3 streams of getting a P2P testnet set up, setting up some testing infrastructure for common specs, and I've now forgotten what the third thing is, but I will send over a document outlining exactly what the milestones are and what we hope to achieve throughout the day. That still is being refined, so please comment, add extra bits and pieces there as we go along. Then we start off with these long sort of hacking sessions. I expect people to break into different groups to settle different issues, with the main focus being on getting the P2P testnet set up and the nodes talking. Later, we have breakout sessions. These talks are all very much either you're working on hacking and you want to continue, that's totally fine. If you want to talk about the specific topic, then come join them. In this area, we've got the new node discovery algorithm. So I think Shahak is proposing that we replace gossip, the peer discovery algorithm.
Yeah.
Sorry? Yeah.
We're replacing Cademia.
Yeah. I think the reasoning, is the reasoning clear to everyone already, or is this something that we set there?
The main reasoning was that Cademia is more suited for a network with like millions of nodes, and you only need to find any random nodes, and it's important that they will be randomly distributed, and those characteristics are not what we're looking for.
Right. So I think there might be and we'll discuss this properly on the day, but there's a difference between the discovery network when it comes to consensus and the discovery network when it comes to the full nodes just sharing data. So I'm not sure if that has been factored in, but we'll discuss that. I'm going to shelve it here if that's okay, Shaq. Yeah. Okay, cool. Then this P2P framework, or the RPC testing, which we've covered. Ryan from Nethermind will be discussing how do we get shadow forks in place, where we try to have staging environments that are actually feeding off of mainnet data rather than integration. I think this is standard practice in Ethereum when it comes to major upgrades, and we'd like to see how we can start replicating this in the Starknet infrastructure. This largely involves getting access to maybe the mempool a little bit earlier than the pending block production on the feeder gateway. Ryan will discuss this more. Then Ilya and everyone are having a more high-level experimental conversation about what do proof systems look like. Right now, we know exactly what we want to do with them in the consensus protocol, but can we get to a point earlier where proofs are being shared across the Gossip network, and what milestones we want to achieve there, and could we start baking it into possibly like Starknet JS and other things that is like verifying proofs, especially with Stu coming around and it being cheap enough to do so. So this is kind of an open session. Right. Then we continue on hacking throughout the evening, and then we have some closing remarks, undecided who's going to give those. But hopefully it's a pat on the back and a congratulations to everyone for doing some really cool stuff. And then we should, at the end of the session, have produced documents that have clear roadmaps for many different features, which I can help writing in the time because I will not be hacking. I think you guys are much more adept at this. And also have some testnet shown working, and hopefully the P2P Explorer hooked up as well, which Mikolai's team's been working on, so we can see data in real time. And by the end of the session, we should have a very clear understanding of the next 6 months between all the full nodes, all of the different moving features, and have a working testnet that might be maybe like a month or two earlier than what it would have been without the meeting. That's the real goal. So does that all make sense to everybody? Are there any comments? Anything you want to see changed? Christian's happy. Cool. There's a few bits.
I don't. I'm not feeling like I will fill all the 45 minutes. Maybe 30 minutes is enough because we besides of the like how algorithms go, we don't have like many findings out yet. So
and I wouldn't worry about that, Pavel. I mean, as Jörg had said, this is meant to be an intro to a topic and then hopefully turning into a discussion with broader forum. So this will be us showing the snapsync, and inviting everyone to share their thoughts on it. I mean, are you guys interested in sort of participating in this, implementing this, etc., etc.? So I actually would recommend to keep short when it comes to the walkthroughs or kickoff presentations or slide decks of any sorts, and leave time for people interacting.
I agree.
Yeah. Timelines are guidelines. We'll try not to run over in too many sessions, but if there's important discussions happening, then we will focus on those, and it'll kind of be a meta level to regulate how quickly the conversations are going, and whether or not we move on from something, right? But in the meantime, these are the provisional times. There are a few things that are missing. Antira wants to discuss these calls specifically. Sorry, there's a police training exercise outside. There is a lot of interest from the different, like higher up the stack in the SDK areas, amongst those devs, to know what's going on with the full nodes and what the update plans are. So right now we are rolling out links to this live stream to them. But it might be the case that some of them might want to pop in and voice their opinions on different features that are being built. And Antira wants to discuss like how we coordinate that well and where we advertise these things. So a bit of an admin talk. I think that doesn't need to be scheduled and can be held at the side with anybody interested in that. And then I think that is it, really. WebSockets, actually, this is a question to the group. Will we be at a point where we should be discussing this at the full node teams, or do we leave it because it's currently an ongoing dev thing?
I don't know if it's if there'll be much talk about on the day itself, but hopefully, if we think the spec makes sense, then there's no real need to. But if we don't, then I guess there is.
Okay. Right. So if anyone has serious problems with the spec, then you can force a meeting there with the main parties, and we can discuss it. But I think it should be fine. Great. I'm quite excited. It's in a beautiful place. It's in a sort of castle out of Brussels, like a hotel, and there are a few events in the evenings that we can also partake in. Dinner is served, and it's looking like a really nice experience, as well as a fun hacking adventure. So.
Okay, amazing initiative, and yeah, great stuff to discuss. Hopefully, in 2 weeks we'll have many new insights.
Can I just make one comment? Guys, especially the representatives of the teams taking part in the hacking, can you think upfront about all sorts of practical questions or concerns that you would like to clear prior to the session, i.e., network availability, internet availability, what sort of other practical stuff that you can think of to enable this session. So, for example, the goal is to set up a running network across different client implementations. For the moment, I'm kind of assuming that we are doing this on a LAN, I mean the local Wi-Fi and whatever. Or do we want to go broader? Do we want to set this up somewhere else in the cloud or in the internet publicly? I mean, food for thought. Can you think about anything like this and share this as soon as possible, hopefully on the shared channel, so that we can discuss this and prepare?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And definitely something we should be talking about before the meeting so that we are really ready for this setting up a test network and things like that.
Okay, great. We only have 5 minutes left. Alex, I don't know if you want to talk about the PR.
Yes, I'll try to cram what I can in 5 minutes. Or at least raise the main points, and then maybe we can discuss it async on the Slack or on the PR itself. So just how to read the PR. So as the title there says, the point is to describe the WebSocket subscriptions with OpenRPC. The OpenRPC spec itself is not a perfect tool, so we want to, at the end goal is for all of us to agree on what we want from it, and as much as possible do it the right way. After the call last time, we agreed that separate subscriptions to each event is the path we want to go, and it is also the reason why in Ethereum there is no official spec for WebSockets, because it can't describe the single array with all kinds of parameters. So we have subscriptions per event. Second is that the OpenRPC spec describes what are notifications, and these are methods without the result field. So this is what you see there for what notifications are. This is what the clients will be receiving. And the content is described in the params field. So this was a question that was raised, so just the way you read it. If you have references or better ways, or you think this is not a good way to describe what we want, then please provide references so we can do better. Okay, so again, only 3 minutes, so I'll just raise some questions that we can discuss further. The main point is reorgs, which last time we discussed, we agreed that we want some kind of an error or some kind of a way for the client to know that the reorg has happened, and not have it as part of every subscription that will be received again with some field notifying that it was part of a reorg. So currently, the way it is described, it is in the error section of the subscriptions. This might not be the best way. A better way could be have a completely separate subscription endpoint just to get reorgs. If this makes sense to everyone, we'll do it. Again, we can discuss it. The second one is, do we want to receive events or allow subscriptions at all while the node is not fully synced? As far as I know, Juno and Pathfinder currently do that, which means like even as they are syncing, you will be getting events for subscriptions that you do. Either yes or no, no strong opinion. If you do have, then again, well, I'll open it for discussion and you can raise it. Right, and then small things like if we want a hex or an integer for the subscription ID, and some discussion about the pending transaction, and if it should be a separate endpoint or part of just getting all of the transactions. Okay, I don't want to go over time, so I'll open the issues for discussion asynchronously.
Thanks. You can comment on the PR directly. As a broad timeline reminder, I think for the next Starknet version, or 13.3, which is now planned for October, we'll have a new RPC version, and this one will be quite heavy to compensate not updating the JSON RPC in 13.2. WebSockets is, of course, a major part of it. So we have time, but the sooner we'll clear the issues, the better it will be. Okay, so thanks, everyone. And hopefully a great deal of you will meet each other in Brussels. And see you in 2 weeks.
Looking forward to it. Bye, everyone.